So once Solomon becomes king, one of the things he looks to do is to build a temple for the Lord. Now this is a big project, and in chapter 5, verse 5, it says, "So I intend to build a house for the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord said to my father David, your son, whom I will set on the throne in your place, shall build the house for my name." On the one hand, it's great that Solomon wants to do something significant for God, but it's also the beginning of, unfortunately, a downward path. Up until this point, God had been appearing, remember, in a tent of meeting, in a tabernacle. Things had been more mobile in terms of where God was, almost like God was on a journey with the people and God was free to move. And part of the building of the temple, it almost is a way of saying God's going to be worshiped and found in this one particular place. And it required people to come to that one particular place to worship. And later in chapter 5, in verses 13 to 18, we see a very ugly downside to Solomon's project, which is conscripting forced labor from among the people to be a part of this great construction project, to build a temple for the living God who led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt, because they had to build as conscripted laborers, basically, as slaves. And now Solomon is kind of doing the same thing. And not only that, but consuming vast amounts of natural resources to build this temple. It's part of the beginning of the end in terms of the holiness and godliness of Solomon and of the people. It's a challenge. It's hard to believe. I can look back on, we were doing our construction project here at Brewster Baptist Church back in the year 2000 and 2001. Can you believe it's 20 years ago? And how do you justify the expense of building something significant for God? Well, part of it is by, as we said then, and I still say today, the building should be the launching pad for ministry. We don't think that all the ministry and all that God is doing happens only in these walls or on this property, but it should be a place of worship and inspiration and teaching and community and connectedness and belonging and fellowship. It's a place where people are strengthened for discipleship so we can serve God everywhere we go off of this property, in our families, in our neighborhoods, in our community. It's great that Solomon wants to build a temple for God, but as Jesus will say to a Samaritan woman many years later in John chapter 4, it's not so much about worshiping God on the mountain that the Samaritans thought or in Jerusalem. But God seeks those who will worship him in spirit and in truth, because those are the kind of worshipers God desires. Let that be true of you. Worship God with all your heart, in spirit and in truth, wherever you are. And I hope part of that means being here on Sunday.